walked inside. Still doing setup Thursday morning. That's us down there. Gonna head on down there. All right, here's the fast booth. We got a whole bunch of games. I don't have my mic on me. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If not, I'll throw in the usual little talking points. There's my game, right there. All ugly and bare compared to all these nice games. Got Dwight playing Fathom. Dave Feature. And there's Aaron and Brian right there. Two of the big guys making it happen. Whoop. Morning, everyone. Morning, morning. Working hard. Morning, morning. It survived.
You're up. Ramp's feel good.
Yeah?
I gotta get that side ramp in.
Yeah. When you get it, it does feel good. right, so we made it back home in one piece too. But let me just start out by saying how absolutely just amazing that show was on so many levels for me. I came back so much more pumped, so re-energized and recommitted to getting this machine to fully working state. I'll be honest, I went there and I was nervous. I was concerned, like, is anybody else even gonna think this thing's fun? Are they gonna come up and flip and be like, yeah, good machine, man, yeah, it's lots of fun. And just kind of walk away all like, whatever. I think I had one person do that, but the number of people that just like the fist pump in the air, the fist bumps that we had, the couple people that just like, woo, like the smiles on their faces. There are a lot of good things in this pinball machine. There are a lot of fun shots. And once we get the kinks ironed out, man, I'm excited for this to be ready for everyone to really play and enjoy the full experience. It was so entertaining, so satisfying to see people having fun with the machine. So from that, I just want to say thank you to all of you who came to the show. I was surprised by the number of people who came up to me saying, probably 20 or 30 people came up to me saying, hey, I've been watching your videos. I just watched your video this morning, getting caught up on your videos. Hey, I just found your channel, been watching them. Like, completely blown away by that. I thought maybe we'd have maybe a few people, you know, hey, aren't you that guy? So that was super humbling, super awesome. And with that, just the excitement, how much you guys, I've been watching your video. Can I play your game? I want to try it. And like, man, that's what I want. I wanted people that just had this, you know, interest in wanting to give it a shot and see if it's fun. So thank you for coming and trying it out. Thank you for all the tips and all the feedback and all the suggestions. It was huge. Thank you for all of you who've been watching the video that couldn't make it out there. I know so many of you were, you know, just too far away. It couldn't work out. One of you got sick and couldn't quite be there. But man, just thank you for all your support. And while we're on the subject of thank yous, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody from the Fast crew that was there. Aaron and Brian and Eli and Dave, kind of the core people that are getting things moving forward with that company right now. Thank you for everything you're doing, for the commitment, for the faith you have in yourselves and your product. I'm right there behind you 100%. Without you guys and without MPF, doing it your own homebrew pinball machine would be such a different story, so much more difficult to do. Is it challenging? Yes. Is there a lot to it? Yes. Is it doable though? Yes, now more than ever. So thank you for all of you guys and for putting the time in to make the show work and having a space for us. And for everybody else from the Fast community that came out, Anthony, and I'm probably going to forget people. Anthony was there, and Mike. Anthony, who the maker of the Mass Effect pinball machine, he had 4 machines there. He was working on the entire time debugging. He's such a great software guy. Mike Becker, the maker of the Fight Club pinball machine, I did an interview with him. I got to sit down and talk with him for a few minutes. Got good footage of his game. Look for that video to be coming up. I also sat down with all 4 of the guys from Fast and interviewed them, so I'm going to put that video up here in the next couple of days as well, so you all can get to know them. Really great guys. Who else was there? Brian Cox, he's built like 8 custom pinball machines, another like 8 or 9 that are all like swappable playfields inside this mega any machine cabinet thing he has. I'm going to put a link up to his stuff. He's got the Facebook page, How to Make a Pinball Machine. He's been doing this. Man, he knows this stuff so much better than I probably ever will, and it was very helpful. I learned a lot from him. Super nice guy, so helpful. Pretty funny too. Who else was there? We had Jacob, who couldn't bring a machine, but he was there from Idaho, and Jack was there, and I'm sure I'm forgetting other people. Shoot, I'm so bad with names, but there were a bunch of you there, and it was so great to meet you all in person, and thank you so much for all your help and all your support in helping me solve the problems I was having with my diverters and with my sound and everything else. It was great. Thank you so much to all you guys. Yeah, it was a fun show. Got a chance to go around and play some games I'd never seen before. The Fathom, the first like commercially released available version, I think here in the US, a Fathom by Haggis, a remake, was there. It was absolutely gorgeous. Holds up in person every bit as good as it does in those videos. It was amazing, fun to play. Oh, I can't wait. I hope they're able to get things moving faster in the production, but man, it was a great game. All right, so things I learned about what we need to fix with this game still. Okay, let's go around the horn here real fast. Underneath this ramp is an orbit shot. You probably remember me making a few times. It's kind of hidden. It's definitely going to need an insert. I think probably about half the people didn't even really realize it was there until they kind of accidentally made the ball kind of go up there and realized, like, oh, saw them kind of look down. Is that a shot? And then they start trying to make it. And my ball guide would kind of keep sliding up, and it was kind of tight. It was a little too tight to hit, so I had to open it up the last day, made it better. But my ball guide would still kind of slide up out of place and then create a ball catch back here where the ball would get hung up. So I need to play with that and like get that ball guide like locked down into position so it doesn't create a hang up here. But I think we've got to open it wide enough to make this ramp. Okay, issues with this ramp are plentiful. Can it be hit? Yes. Is it difficult to hit? Yes. Is it the right amount of difficult to hit? I think so. But could it be better, and could it be more? Could it be a more consistent shot? Yes. And this is something that Brian Cox helped me understand. And really, like I remember thinking this through the first time I kind of put this shot together with this flipper. I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out where is the exact right placement of this flipper, and you saw me adjust it up and down a few times. We kind of got it dialed into the right spot. But then for the last several months, I've kind of forgotten about all of that. And the last couple of whitewoods, I put this in with this hole. I never really double checked exactly where I had this pivot point for this flipper. And it's not just a pivot point, it's a kind of a combination of where the flipper actually is, kind of up and down, right, in relationship to the shot for the ramp, but then also like the pitch and how shallow or how aggressive the flipper is when it's resting. Because there's kind of like a bloom or like a circle, as Brian explained it, depending on where the ball is on the flipper when you hit it, and how far that flipper bat's able to move before the ball is released towards the shot you want. It kind of determines how much power, and also just how easy it is to find that spot predictably or consistently on that flipper. Could people make the shot? I saw people struggle and never make it. I saw people make it 1 time out of 10 shots. I also saw other people come up and make it 3 times in a row. So it's definitely doable. I don't think the height or the steepness of the ramp is the issue. I think it's much more about how the flipper is in alignment with that ramp, and I think it can be improved. I think right now the flipper is actually more optimally lined up to be just above the ramp and to be aiming here these inlines. We don't need a lot of power for these inline drop targets. We do need at least consistent placement and power for this ramp shot because it is steep. So I need to play around with this, either maybe lower the flipper a little bit, and or, which I think is probably the primary thing, lower the flipper a little bit, and then also check kind of the pitch to make sure that when you do hit in that sweet spot, that it's not going to be coming up at a crazy angle, always one way or the other, but it's actually going to feed straight up that ramp. Okay, next thing with the ramp. And this one I knew going in, but it was definitely confirmed almost every single time someone went for the ramp. The sides of this ramp are coming down to a point. Very unconventional and very bad for lots of reasons. Most notably, when you make this shot, if you don't hit it in exactly, if you hit it along this edge of the ramp, the ball will just roll right up that and just launch. And the ball literally would bounce up and go into the stairs, all around everywhere. We had the ball bouncing out of the play field a few times. This needs to be fixed. I can either put a post here to prevent that, but I don't know if I have space for that. Or, and I might need to do both, but what I'm going to start doing, I was surprised by how durable this PLA was. Nothing broke when I was there at the machine. None of my pieces of plastic broke, other than the diverter, which I snapped myself on accident, being reckless when I was trying to take my mech apart to fix the diverter coil. But nothing else by ball play, chipped, broke, nothing. Super surprising. Okay, but this ramp here, I need to have this side, I need to have it come out like this, where it's still like about 1 inch of height, right, or thickness. So when the ball hits here, it rejects. It doesn't like actually roll up the side. It needs to either go inside or outside. So I'm going to start with that. And if the plastic's chipping or breaking off, then we might need to like put like a blue nub of death there, a little elastomer, or like a post or something. But we're going to start just changing the size of that side of the ramp. We're going to change that. Okay, next thing. These inline drop targets. It's a tight shot. Like we're talking like Houdini tight, like tighter than I like. But Brian Cox pointed out something pretty obvious, but I'm like, oh, you're absolutely right. This horseshoe, there's no need for this to come up quite as far as it is, other than like maybe like to be symmetrical with these targets, but that's not really necessary. I can take this post that's here with this rubber, if I move it back just like the width of the post, like we're talking like 3/8 of an inch, maybe 1/2 inch. If I just move it back about that far, that will open up that shot just enough to make it not quite so crazy tight and a little bit more consistent for people to hit. Right now through the show, I never saw anybody, I think one person make all 3 drops. They never made it back in their 4th time. And most people would only get the front one and never really hit it again. So I think it needs to be opened up just a little bit. And we've got room to bring this post back. It won't change the rest of the geometry. I think that will work really well. Next thing, let's see, the Newton ball. This isn't necessarily a required fix, but it's one that I think is a good idea. Also by Brian Cox is, I've got so much depth back here with nothing else going on. Yes, I have a flipper mech, but I think the stand-up could be moved back 2 or 3 inches, which would make this a much longer shot for the Newton ball. And no, not just to make it more difficult, but then that would then also give us the option to put another switch in here about halfway back. So we could tell the difference between a really strong, solid shot all the way back to the stand-up and kind of a weaker half strength shot that would just hit the first switch. Hello, David Dennis. That would be very similar to like a varied target, which I know you love. So that's something I'm going to explore. Is it a requirement? No. Does it work great as it is? Yes. But I like that would kind of give us some options like in the code and playfield modes. Like, you know, if you hit the really hard shot, you complete it faster. You hit the half strength shots, it takes maybe a few more hits. Anyway, something to consider. These stand-ups down here, when I first put them in, I had them more aggressively pointing up the playfield, and I said, oh, that's not really how I really wanted them. Well, I love the way they're facing now. I love the interaction we're getting between the slingshots, this pop bumper, and these. We're getting a lot of good extra chaos down here that I really enjoy. What I don't enjoy is how I inadvertently created a giant funnel straight to this out lane by opening this up to where now it's so brutal. The ball will just go down like so many times. So we need to fix that. And it's actually kind of on both sides, but it's really bad on this side. Something somebody else pointed out to me that I really liked was these metal ball guides I'm using. I just found because they're brushed steel and they thought they looked cool. They're not the plastic ones, but they're shorter up here. And so they don't come up quite as high. Like you can see, they don't come up to the same height as the top of the slingshot here. And most pinball machines come up a little higher. So this left this pretty open. So I can either change out this ball guide to a different plastic one, or what I'm just going to do is put a post in somewhere about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch above this. Because right now, not only is it shallow, but it's also just plain metal, so the ball just hits there and dies. You have almost no chance to save it. Even if I put a post right up against it with the rubber, you've got something to kind of play with and nudge and maybe try to keep the ball alive. So I'm going to put in posts on both these sides and kind of play around with where's the right placement to where it doesn't make it totally brutal, and you got a little something to do with, something to play with there to try to keep the ball alive. All right, last but absolutely not least, the number one biggest thing I was concerned about that I saw happen every single game that was really frustrating for me, and I really could not think of a way to handle this. And again, I think it was Mike Becker, maybe Ryan Cox, but one of these guys just pointed out something that I've seen on other pinball machines, but I was not connecting the dots, and they're absolutely right. And that is this drop target. But when you hit that drop target full on strength with one of these flippers and hit it, it bounces and ricochets out of the playfield 3 different times over the course of the show. It bounces and gets so much vertical height that it starts bouncing vertically. It bounces over your flippers into the trough. It would bounce and go up into the ball guide over here, into the returns. It was going everywhere. Way out of control. So we got to fix that. The idea that they pointed out to me, which I'm like, oh, I've seen that on like the Jurassic Park Raptor pen. I've seen that on, I think I see it even like on Godzilla. I've seen it on like Metallica in front of Sparky. I need to have some sort of a plate. Plastic shield might not be enough, but I could put like a metal strip as well. It needs to come in on top of this and probably a little bit in front to where when the ball goes and hits that target and bounces, it bounces up and hits that metal plate and is contained and stays down the playfield. That should solve that, I think, perfectly. But it's going to require me to make some changes here. Like, where do I put the posts? Where do I have room for those posts? Can I put it behind these stand-ups? Do I need to move these stand-ups forward? I have my optical switches right where I want them, so I'm going to have to iterate on that a little bit to figure out where I can put these posts to hold that thing in place. But that's going to be awesome. The other thing that I also knew, even before the show, is the sides of the staircases open. Balls can bounce in there. Another ball trap like we were talking about, right? So I need to add some sides. And even with adding sides, I might need to add like a clear top because balls can still sometimes bounce straight onto the middle of the playfield. And right now, the sensors are only at the top and the bottom, so the ball just is lost and the machine has no idea where it's at. So walls on the side of the stairs and either like a clear shield over the front as well to make sure balls don't land in there. Or I don't know if I want a clear shield in front of it, or I do a wall that has sensors for every single step. So I need to add in 3 more sets of switches so when the ball does land in a step, the machine can know, oh, a ball just landed here on accident. Let's kick out another ball and keep moving. Maybe that's an accidental award for the multi-ball. I think that could be cool. So yeah, lots to iterate around that. All right, those are kind of all the main points. And then watch for those interviews I've got with Mike Becker and the guys from Fast. So great people, such a great time. So glad I went. It was totally worth the drive. Washington is beautiful, even though it rained a lot on the way home, but it was great. All right, guys. Until next time, thanks so much for watching, and hope I get to meet up with more of you guys at one of the next shows. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.